CIS Azure Benchmark Section 2.1.13 covers enabling Microsoft Defender for the Azure Resource Manager. This is a Level 2 recommendation, meaning that additional cost and complexity should be expected. It covers detection of anomalous activity that takes place both within the Azure portal as well as any Azure APIs, the Azure CLI, and other programmatic interfaces. It provides high-level alerts around Resource Manager activity, things that might be outside of the baseline or be suspected malicious, and allows you the opportunity to go in and investigate those and determine if the activity is benign or if the activity is in fact related to some malicious action going on. Some of the alerts generated by this service include the impossible travel detection, exploit toolkit usage, and malicious VM extensions. The impossible travel detection is essentially a way for this service to identify when a user account was used in two geographic locations that are too far apart to have actually been used in the time span between the first usage and the second. An example would be something like a user accessing a resource from Florida and then within a very short time span accessing that resource or some other from a country in Europe. Because it's impossible to have traveled between Florida and any country in Europe within, let's say, a span of an hour, you can assume that there may be some malicious activity going on there. Another thing that this particular alert does in the background is it uses machine learning to identify over a span of time normal usage, including VPNs, remote offices, and other sources of activity that might result in this alert not being fired. So it tries to learn how those credentials and the various regions that the company operates in are used in order to make sure that when this alert fires, it's not a false positive. For the exploit toolkit usage, this looks for things like PowerAzure or microburst and tries to identify the activity that those toolkits typically use. So things like enumeration of users, exploitation of various features, and attempts to elevate privileges. All of those things typically have a signature associated with them based on the way that they use certain API calls or the CLI, and allow you to understand when those are being used in your environment and start to take action to resolve whatever is allowing that activity to take place. As for the VM extensions, VM extensions run as a privileged user on the virtual machine, and so when that activity is detected and those VMs are running extensions that are not known or taking actions that seem to be malicious, that alert's fired and allows you to go back and review that virtual machine to determine if the extension is valid, if it was installed by someone within the organization, or if that activity is malicious and needs to be further investigated. So a lot of the features for this require the Microsoft Defender for cloud apps in order to operate. So that's a separate feature that needs to be enabled in order to get take full advantage of the Defender for Resource Manager functionality. For more guidance on securing your Azure cloud environment, connect with us.